Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast, and we are trying something new.
Real new.
Yeah, maybe even, actually, we're going to try it all month long. So we're back, and we're recording in person, but we're also filming this time.
We're in my parents' we're in my old bedroom from when I was a teenager, and I broke the blinds immediately.
Yep.
Which is, you know,
Benedict is very upset.
Benedict is judging me. You know, the thing about Benedict Cumberbatch is he can judge you with just like a little bit of a glance. It's an English thing, I think. And yet I'd still bang
The
him.
disdain.
But we have a guest, and I did my best to clean my ball hair off of it. But we're gonna address it right out the gate.
Right out of the gate, because you probably saw. We have something here. Now, I would say years ago.
It's at least 2 years ago that we made this joke.
We made a joke, sort of, because we had a segment that we used to do called Bush or No Bush.
And we used to do it live.
On Twitch, and somehow the joke always said, like, you know, hey, you know, we don't really have any sponsors, we don't really do ads, but I'm like, man, it would be such a perfect fit if Manscaped.
We got Manscaped.
Yeah, got Manscaped, because we had a whole segment on Bush or No Bush. Somehow that got through the ether of the internet.
Somebody told them. They're not... Okay, so we always made the joke like, hey, we'll never ever do ads on the podcast, except if Manscaped wants to sponsor us. And we always thought that was a funny joke because we're big fans of Crop Preserver.
Yes.
And sort of a dumb thing. It's ball deodorant, but sort of a dumb thing to be like a huge fan of. But there's a really good reason why we're a huge fan. And if you've watched any of our live shows when we were doing them, you know that the reason that we're huge fans of the Crop Preserver is that at my bachelor party, I didn't want like strippers or any of that shit. No, I made everyone climb a mountain. We went to Yosemite.
And one of them did try. I had to talk someone else at your bachelor party.
Oh, yeah, mountain strippers,
While we were there, I had to talk him out of trying to get a bunch of strippers to come.
You know, the thing is
into the lodge.
Part of me is like, what would mountain strippers have been like? Would it have been like flannel and granola?
That kept going through my mind, you know, because we're out in the wilderness. I'm like, what kind of clientele is him? Whatever.
The thing is, if you would have called them, I think I would have been more curious than anything. But no, I did not want that. I just wanted to climb a mountain. Nobody was in shape. Nobody was prepared for it. None of us got ready for that. And there was only one shower for everybody in the entire cabin. And so some of us weren't able to shower at the end of the trip. And my buddy,
Which I did not know about. I did not know some people didn't take showers. I was like, what?
I took showers. You know, but we have a buddy, and we'll call him DJ because that's his name. He just used Crop Preserver on his balls, and he went home. And that same day, he got home from the drive home from Yosemite, and he ended up hooking up with a Friends with Benefits. And at the end of it, she was just like, she told him his junk smelled amazing. He hadn't showered in 3 days of hiking up a mountain in Yosemite in June. So if your ball deodorant can do that, you instantly fans. And then I ended up getting it as a gift on my wedding day. I was given Crop Preserver as like a memory of the bachelor party. So it's always been like a running gag that they would be the only sponsor we have because we know it works.
Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't actually know about Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver.
You only knew about the trimmers?
I knew about the trimmers. So I knew that, and I've seen ads. I've seen ads from, you know, other people I follow on YouTube and stuff. So I'm like, that seems like a really good thing. But then, like, you told me the story, because, I mean, when we were at the bachelor party, he wasn't telling me, hey, I'm rubbing lotion on my balls. You know?
I used it too, for sure. Yeah, no, Jerry, we'll call him that because that's also his name. He was all like, oh, I use Crop Preserver. I don't do physical activity without it. And he gave it to me and DJ. I think he had like a little bottle. He has a carry-on size. And now I keep it in my gym bag. But yeah, he gave it to us to try.
Well, it actually came with a bag.
It's soothing. Yeah, it did. No, they went legit. Like, so they reached out and they were like, "Hey, we found out about your podcast. We'd love to sponsor you." And my immediate response was, "Fuck you! You're kidding." They're like, "Right? No, no one's it." But the lady, Anne Marie, we'll call her that because that's her name. She was like, "No, really. We thought it was hilarious, and we want you guys to try the lawnmower. Or I think it's called the
Lawnmower 4.0. I
4.0. They've done it 4 times, so now it's like it's the fanciest shit. If you saw the thing I was trimming my balls with before, one, hey, we've been dating, but two, this thing is like, it's wireless, it's waterproof, although I don't have the balls to try it in water.
Oh.
Did you try it? You tried it in water?
No, okay, so I was like, when I was like, oh, that's really cool, they want to sponsor, but I'm like, I was very sort of, okay, sure, that's funny, right? Haha,
Yeah.
Do we get to try it though? Because I don't want to try to advertise this if
yeah, they were super upfront about that.
I haven't used it because I'm like, I kind of want to So they actually sent us a full kit, and this isn't even all of it.
There's like trimmers for your ears and
yeah,
which is kind of cool actually. I have used all of it. I put it in.
That's that's not even gross or anything. Just something for your ears and for your nose. Yeah. And I don't know how other people are, but I hate
trimming ear hair and nose hair.
Ear hair, nose hair. It's just so annoying. It's not necessarily gross necessarily, but it is kind of it's super annoying when you just feel a tingling sensation.
Have you ever caught a nose hair wrong and it feels like it's plucking it from your brain? Just
yeah, you get that
I have a
your
fear
brain
of them.
warps out
I have a fear of nose trimmers, and I'll tell you, I fucking used it. It's better than the one I have at home. I'm not gonna shout out that brand because it's fine, but I'm not in that game.
Well, it's just cool that it's more than that came with it. So that was actually very, very useful. I mean, I like that, but.
So this is a long introduction to say, not in a million years did we think that they would ever hear us making jokes about being sponsored by them, and not in a million years did we ever think they would send us things to try.
The thing is that it's nice because it actually the biggest scariest thing, if you don't mind me, is the fact that you look at this and you're like, oh God.
You've touched what has touched my balls.
Well,
we've made love now.
I was at your bachelor party. Anyways, but they actually have a little thing that goes on top, and you have different lengths, and really, at the end of the day, it's look, you don't want to go to McDonald's and get a milkshake and then have a big strand of hair in your milkshake, so for your partners. You don't want them to have hair in their food, or their dessert either. So,
9 out of 10 dentists agree you should floss, but not with your partner's pubes. Is what we're getting at.
So, I mean, it actually works. It's at first I was, there's a little bit of, oh my God, am I? Is this gonna be all right? And yeah, but what the great thing about it is, by the end of it, you start looking oh man, you're getting that good porn star dick.
I have the freshest balls.
Right, you get
my balls are so fresh.
You look, you look good.
It doesn't add inches to your dick, but it'll trick you.
I mean, you might get that weird. All of a sudden, your dick starts looking like a newborn baby bird now that it's not covered in fur.
Oh man,
but
yeah, that's rough. If you've never cleaned up down there, wow, you've made it far. But
yeah,
now you're gonna clean up. You're gonna learn some things about your junk. I will say this. You know what? Light enough for the taint. It doesn't clip the taint. I have clipped the taint.
Yeah.
And it's not cool.
I think, the early ads I remember seeing for it, even the gooch, but...
Well, that was one thing that I liked about it, is because I told them, I was like, you're literally the only company that we would accept this from. And they were like, oh, that's great. We don't really have any rules. There's 3 things you got to mention. One, we got to tell you, hey, up front, they're sponsoring us. And we're going to do a Bush or No Bush segment later, purely just to celebrate the fact that we have a ball a ball trimmer as our official sponsor.
And a ball deodorant.
And a ball deodorant. It works. It's great.
You know, I did have a little bit of a fear of like, oh my God, is this going to be like Home Alone but worse?
Oh.
You know, and Kevin, you know, no, it's not like that at all, actually. It actually smells nice.
Soothing.
It smells like birchy tree. I don't know. Like, it's got like a, I don't know.
Eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus-y,
sure.
Something like that. It's
got tapioca in it.
It does smell nice, though. I mean,
it is nice.
You rub it on your hands before you rub it on your junk. So you're like, oh, this smells nice. You know, you know that's gonna make your weekend job go by way quicker.
I feel like we're learning a lot about me mostly in this episode now, but I will say that I have nared my balls.
Oh, they also have...
I was tricked.
This is the same thing, basically. It's just a spray-on. It's called the Crop Reviver. This is basically like, if you're one of those like convention junkies who like refuse to bathe, you know, Smash player maybe, and you just do those marine showers with Axe. Yeah,
if you're a Smash player, the kids you're going after will love you for it.
But this is where you junk, because this is an anytime pick-me-up. Like, you want to do this... The deodorant is like, you know, after a shower. This is like a quick pick-me-up maybe in the middle of the day or after, you know, as you say, like,
be right back, boss.
Be right back, boss. I gotta, you know, freshen the livestock.
If you can ever get away with calling your junk livestock and your partner doesn't leave you, I will pay you $100. But no, I've been using it at the gym. It's really funny to like bust this out when you're changing. Like, I've become the old man who like talcum powders his balls after running. But instead I'm using a cream.
As long as you're not just sitting there in the middle of the locker room with like one
leg up. Oh, I totally am.
Yeah, I totally am. On the bench, just being like, psh, psh, ah!
I am 100% that bitch. But yeah, so that's our longer one. In the future, we won't be doing insanely long discussions, but I wanted to explain that this is amazing that they had the balls to sponsor us, because
well, it's amazing, and it works. And again, like I say, you actually get 4 different sizes, you know, for your ball hair. So like you know, much like other, you know, people, like some people have like a trimmed look. Some people, you know, they want to go for a landing strip. Some people want to go like really low. Like I
just go right to the root.
Right to the root. So like you get different, you know, you get different sizes and stuff. It's actually got a lot of really. It actually has a light.
Yeah, my favorite feature is the light. I was going to talk about it.
So, yeah, when you're looking down and you're like, that light, you don't think it would be handy, but that light's handy.
That's, I mean, forgetting the gooch. The light doesn't go there, and neither does Simba. Am I naming you Simba? I am.
Ooh.
I did. It's done. Simba.
Well, it's Simba with a very trimmed mane.
Oh yeah, young Simba, fierce Simba.
But anyways, it works, which I'm happy to say that, because that was actually my main concern, was not, you know, whether or not we should do it. And to me, it was more just like, okay, but does it, you know, is it?
Yeah, they only gave us. They gave us 3 rules. They were kind of like, we're not a PG-13 company, so we don't care if you say like, I don't know, fuck or tits or something.
Awesome.
But they were like, hey, there's 3 rules. 1, you can't make stats up. So I guess 9 out of 10 dentists don't agree. But 2, you can't, you know, pretend you're not sponsored. You have to be very direct. No. And 3, we have to plug the fact that, like, you get a 20% discount if you use YoVG at manscaped.com. Free shipping if you use our discount code.
Free shipping worldwide.
Worldwide, that's important.
If you do YoVG at manscaped.com.
And your balls will thank you. And also, it's the easiest thing in the world to say your balls will thank you.
They will, because you're gonna feel, honest to God, like they came with the kit that they gave us, which you can get at manscaped.com. Comes with boxer shorts,
which are comfy,
which are very comfy.
We tried everything,
and again,
if I'm gonna shill, I'm going all out.
Yeah, and so
I did all of it.
If you've been blessed or cursed, you know, with some like genes that, you know, make you look like Robin Williams.
Oh, dude, if you get rancid balls, this might be the only saving.
Thank you. But we will have more.
Or your partner will.
We'll have more to talk about this in our Bush or No Bush, which is returning with an MVC2 segment. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So I guess the question about that is are we giving people hope by doing an MVC2 segment that MVC will be freed?
Right. Well, free MVC2. We hope so. And there's lots to talk about, with the the ratio system mod that's going around and all the other, hopefully getting like the game back so you can play it, easily with current generation consoles and whatnot. But I mean, we also want to talk about the important things like Bush or no Bush.
Yeah.
On these beloved characters who you've watched, sweating it out and flipping and dipping and, doing all kinds of crazy shit.
And in so much spandex.
For 20 years and so much spandex, you gotta wonder.
Have you ever worn those athletic... I'm wearing some of them now. Have you ever worn those, like, athletic boxers that, like, they're not spandex, but there's, like, a lot of spandex in them. And
there's definitely something there.
The grip,
Yeah.
When you pull those off after you work out in them, and there's just that, like, fresh hell smell.
Really seals in the flavor.
Another reason. But, like, that. Now imagine that, but in your favorite superhero.
Yeah.
Breathe it in.
So anyways, we're going to try to keep this a little shorter than normal, just because, filming requires a lot of memory.
Yeah.
We're kind of recording this on a day we don't normally record. And
so not the freshest news.
Yeah,
but...
not the freshest news. But one of the things that did come up was that Sony officially announced that they bought Bluepoint, which had been rumored for well over a year.
Didn't they have that gaffe at like one of the award
they sure
shows?
Did. No. It was on Twitter. So like the Korean branch of Sony, literally when they bought Housemarque, they put up a picture, "Welcome to the family," and had Bluepoint, the logo, and then like a picture of Demon Souls, like inserted into their slate of first party game titles.
So the least surprising surprise ever.
Right. Well, I mean, and that was I think this year, like back in May or something like that.
Yeah, we definitely talked about it.
So yeah. The thing was, it was so heavily rumored for so long, and then it wasn't happening. So everyone kept thinking, like, oh, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. And I'm just like, it's
gonna happen. Yeah.
I feel that slip up on Twitter was like, there's no way out of this. You don't make a
Bluepoint got some more
image
money
like that, like with all like specific stuff with Photoshop. You don't go way out of your way for that. And if it wasn't at least in the cards. Now, something I do want to stress about is that behind the scenes in the gaming industry, shit is fluid all the time. All the time. People are talking, propositions are being made, stuff is happening all the time.
It's never real until the check is in your hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the thing, right?
The press release is generally, like, if it goes on a public press release, then it's happening. And even then, that's not even 100% true all the time. So...
But they fucked up, so I bet Bluepoint got a little extra they got a little bit more negotiation power. They're like, nah, we know you want us.
Hopefully, they've done good work. It's weird how some people really, some people are weird about some of the remakes, which I thought are very well done. A lot of people don't like Wander's face in Shadow of the Colossus, and I'm like, you barely see it anyways. Like, I guess, like, whatever.
I've never heard anybody mad about that.
It's been a weird complaint. We have a new segment coming up called Dumb Arguments, and trust me, that could have been one on its own.
Yeah. I'm sort of wondering how many people... It's always like a loud minority, because like nobody's mad at Shadow of the Colossus, right? Like nobody's
the remake is fantastic.
It's like 6 dudes.
It's a beautiful game. It runs at 60. Like, there's nothing to complain about. Like... It doesn't choke the system's life out of it when just doing the basic task of the game. No, it's great.
Some people complained. I remember the complaint being that there's not like a lot in it.
Yeah, right.
But also, it's like Journey, isn't it? Well, Shadow of the Colossus is long.
Yeah, it's longer than Journey.
Well, how long? It's like 10 hours?
Yeah, about 10 hours, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not that long. Okay.
It's not super long, but
it's not fucking 40 hours.
It's got decent length. It's a great game. I love it. It's probably
does it have girth?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly some of the Colossuses do, and some of the Colossus could probably use a Manscaped on them. Because there's one big hairy bearded one. Anyways, if they'd use Manscaped, Wander wouldn't be able to kill them because we wouldn't have any hair to grip to.
And you'd be able to see his face more often.
Yeah.
It's just so much ball hair. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would be mad about it. I know that the hubbub right now with them is like they've announced original content, whatever that means.
Yeah, there's a bit of a debate between, is it a new IP? Is it like bringing an old game back, like an old franchise back?
So Max has gone all in on it's definitely not a new IP.
Yeah, he doesn't think it's new. Max doesn't think it's new IP. I kind of whatever. Like, I think it could be. I think the door is definitely open for it to possibly be a new IP. I don't think it's a guarantee that it's not.
Well, Sony's not Activision. Activision, once you do one thing and it works, you're going to do that forever until you die or they sell you.
Yeah, well, Sony's also very...
Sony.
If your shit don't perform, they're not going to keep you around.
No, they'll break you up or they'll sell you off. But that being said, like...
Just kind of...
They're not against new IP.
Well, they can say, well, that's fair, but on the other hand, it's like, it's also on Sony to advertise product, too. So it's like, say you make a game and then you don't... Which I wouldn't say is true, necessarily. Like, I think Sony does a decent enough job for the most part at advertising their games. It's a lot of their, like, super, like, smaller indie title stuff that just kind of, like, they don't seem to give a crap about. Like, they're and that was worse back in the PS3 era, where they would have stuff like the Unfinished Swan and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this small, like, you know, indie size project that Sony published on the PSN store, is like they wouldn't even tell anyone when it came out. So there have been times where Sony's advertising has been really bad, like just sort of like forget it. But like for the most part, it's like if you're one of those big games, they're gonna advertise it. So
yeah, well,
something like Bluepoint's not gonna have to worry about that. They're not gonna have to worry about Sony not advertising whatever they do. The question being, like, you know, will it be a completely brand new IP? Will it be a revival of an old IP?
It's gonna be both.
Will it be a remake? Probably not a remake. Sounds like original content to me at least says, well, it's not a remake,
but it might be something in a series.
It could be something in a series, or it could be something new. I mean, whatever. I think they've earned our trust at this point, you know, to just be like, okay, whatever it is probably going to be good. I feel, for as far as Bluepoint goes, but I'm
trying to think if they've had any games that have like sucked dick. And I can't think of any games in the last 10 years.
No, because they did like the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. They did,
which was good.
Yeah, they did the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which was good.
I didn't play that, so I don't know.
It's good, you know. So they've been doing work. So, do you think there's anything? Here's the better question: is there anything to fear as far as more and more acquisitions going?
I actually think that's kind of interesting, because we were talking about that Stellan Skarsgård thing.
Yeah.
Where everything's a monopoly now. Everything is like coalescing into camps.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's less and less third party every year. And so is it a good thing? You're going to get bigger budgets to those third party.
It's good. Yeah, it's good for Sony, and it's good for Bluepoint getting financial security.
But is it good for us as consumers? Probably not. You'll get more. You just won't necessarily get better. And I don't know, you know, I'm a big fan of competition, but also I got to be honest, I'm happy that there's going to be stability. Any company that's bought by one of these major publishers or like first party, they're going to get more stability for their developers than they've ever had. Granted, that doesn't necessarily mean that developers are going to have a better quality of life beyond stability. They'll have regular work, but they'll still be doing 100-hour weeks probably. By the way, the IATSE strike was yesterday. Nice. Or the vote was yesterday, so the results will be in Sunday.
Following up on that,
we'll find out.
Yeah, part of me just kind of wonders if maybe this is reactionary to Microsoft going buy crazy in the last few years.
But did they really go buy crazy? We've talked about it before.
Yes and no.
I think if they still had all the other studios that they owned before, this would be buy crazy. Mostly this just seems
Sony
like
or Microsoft.
Microsoft. Like Microsoft, I don't feel like they went buy crazy. Yeah, they bought a big.
I'd say
big.
I think they went buy crazy.
Really?
I do, and I think it's because they knew that their first party lineup was anemic.
Ass. Yeah, it's not great.
So I think they did. I mean, Bethesda
to me buy crazy is like they're buying literally everything under the sun. This feels like they bought
it's
very
probably
key things that were missing out of their own.
Well, it's more it's more acquisitions than have probably ever happened in a given 2-3 period of time, because
it's a very American way to do it.
they went out and they're like, we're buying 11 new studios or whatever. Or some of them were startups by them, where it's like they started a new studio and then they bought other studios. And part of me wonders if Sony looked at this and just went like, we need to buy them, so there's no chance that they work for Microsoft. Because that happened for a little bit, where Insomniac went and did Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was the only Xbox exclusive they ever did, but it was an exclusive. And before the purchase by Sony, Insomniac was technically independent. So it's like there is always that proposition that it's like the guys who just made Spider-Man, and then Ratchet and Clank could go get bought by Microsoft.
Yeah, but I don't know that do exclusives matter anymore? Are people buying a system now purely for the exclusives?
I think it matters enough.
Matters enough, yeah.
I think it matters enough because at the end of the day, it's like you're going to look at something like, okay, when you buy a PS5, you're getting Horizon, you're getting God of War, you're getting Ghost of Tsushima. None of these have PC releases, right? Well, Horizon 1 does, but like Horizon 2 doesn't. Yeah. Well, like you're definitely you're getting these games that you can't get anywhere else. So I do think it kind of matters. Like, okay, and here's the thing. Like, the Switch is a good example of you're buying a Switch mostly to play those Nintendo games. The portability factor and the Nintendo games. If you didn't have those Switch exclusives and it was strictly just it's a portable system that plays low-end versions of other games, I don't know that I'd own a Switch.
You're saying that the portability isn't the main selling factor to you?
I think it's only half. It's half or less because they're low end versions of stuff, unless it's like a really small, small scale indie game.
In my mind, the portability is the main selling factor.
If I cared about the portability, I'd buy this Switch Lite, or I would have gotten the Switch Lite, got rid of my original Switch, like kind of thing like that. But like a $300 system that plays, frankly, like the shittiest version of any given game.
What about a $600 system that plays something midline?
Oh, I see. And the thing is, like, a lot of people, you might, I get accused of both sides of like, nut hugging and hating on Nintendo, and it's like, I'll be real with you, like, I love the portability factor. When I was traveling, that thing was a godsend.
Yeah, I have an event coming up where they're like, you're gonna have no free time. I was like, well, it looks like the Switch is getting played an hour.
Yeah, like so that it's a godsend in that factor. And again, it's mostly those Nintendo exclusives I'm there for, because that shit is great. Yeah. But like I'm
not gonna play like RE5 on my Switch.
Yeah, if you took away those exclusives, like you don't have them at all, it's like, do I buy a Switch? I think that becomes a very hard proposition at that point. So I think the exclusives do matter, and they matter most in the, say, first 2, maybe 3 years of a console's life. They definitely matter in the well, it gets saturated at that point where it's like you can you can get the system cheaper, you can get it secondhand, you can get it. So it's
easier to have multiple systems at that
point. Like you're not necessarily thinking as much like that's why I think Microsoft went out and bought all these games, got Bethesda, did all this stuff. I mean, Microsoft's big ace in the hole right now is that like you can easily play anything from the original Xbox from 20 years ago to brand new games, and if you have the the Xbox model, you can play like really high end versions of those games of the newest titles that come out. Yeah. So and we've always said I think Xbox is a great value, but
because of Game Pass,
I do think but I do think that like Microsoft did realize that it's like when you sit there in your head and you think about what do you get on PS5, I get Horizon 2, I get God of War Ragnarok, I get Spider-Man Miles Morales, I get Spider-Man 2, Wolverine. Wolverine game.
The Wolverine one is the first.
So now with Microsoft, if they didn't go into that buy crazy moment, it's like you don't sit there and think, well, what do I get with Microsoft? Whereas like now you get Starfield, you get Elder Scrolls 6, you get, whatever the future of Doom is
Halo
at this point.
Infinite.
And now you get your Halo, Gears, and Forza, but then it's like Fable's coming back, Perfect Dark's coming back. So now it's like, okay, now there are things you can sit there and say, like, I buy an Xbox because it's going to have this.
An ass load of shooters. And some elves.
And that's, that was another, probably a topic for another time because, I don't want to spend too much time on stuff. But, like, there is a weird sort of epiphany I had when I was talking to Max recently where I was like, when you think of Americans, strictly American, not UK, not Europe, but strictly, like, America and Canada, they're so hyper-focused on first-person, like, gameplay in general. Whether it be...
Consumers or developers?
No, developers. Like, the talent pool for American studios is very heavily slanted to the first-person perspective. Because we're talking about we're talking about Killer Instinct, and like where's KI? Where's a new KI? And it's kind of like, think about the American talent pool, and then how there are developers who don't do first person. That you have NetherRealm Studios, but that's locked up with Warner Brothers, and you have other people who do other things like sim and strategy stuff.
KI people got bought by Amazon, right?
Yeah, Double Helix. They got bought by Amazon. So it's like when you think about the talent pool of most American studios, a lot of them, and especially the AAA production ones, they're heavily slanted in the first person view. Like it's like ingrained in our DNA or something out here. So
yeah, why do we love that so much? That could be its own topic for an entire episode.
It could be some. Quickly, I'd say a lot of it has to do with just PC gaming. For
being the thing that took off.
Being that, that's where a lot
your
of
Dooms, your Duke Nukems.
Yeah, your big American studio talent mostly came from PC. So
what is the Sam?
Serious Sam.
Serious Sam.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if I'd necessarily be worried, about so many acquisitions going on. This was the least surprising acquisition of all of them. This was like everyone was kind of waiting for it. Everyone was expecting it.
Yeah. Do you think people would have expected it had it not been accidentally
dropped? Well, before the leak, everyone was expecting it. And then it was just it was so quiet that people started to think, double guess themselves and be like, is it not happening? Maybe it wasn't happening. Like, maybe it's not happening. So it had been rumored for so long and nothing had been, announced that people started to think it was all bull. And trust me, that's going to bite a lot of naysayers in the ass when it comes to new Nintendo hardware in the future.
Because no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
That's just a rumor that Bloomberg made up.
Yeah, Nintendo's not doing it.
Schreier.
Trust me, Nintendo's making a new system. They're just not making a 4K native output system.
So I remember we talked about this, but like the guy who broke this story, he's got like 50-50, and I can't remember his name right now. It's not Schreier that broke this, but
it's
he's sort of 50-50 on being accurate. But this one seems like another one of those cases where like we all knew it was happening.
Even if you don't think, okay, this guy got this wrong, then there is no 4K Switch, which I don't think there is either. But do you really think Nintendo's not tinkering around with the new system? Like, of course they are. Like, whether or not like it's exactly what this report was saying is true or not, they're absolutely tinkering around with something else. But the thing is, I think the wording on Nintendo's response and Zynga's response, because they were named in the article, and like, we don't have any 4K Switch. I'm like, of course you don't. You have a dev kit that
is a brick and sits on the table.
Sits on the table, but like it uses super sampling and AI upscaling because Nintendo has 2 patents for that, which were filed on March 25th, 2020, which also came to light after our last episode we recorded. So no, they don't have 4K Switches. They have something else, which may not even be called Switch, and it uses a completely different method to upscale.
4K, holy shit, yeah.
So they did not lie.
Well, they've been fucking with that stuff for ages. We talked about how cool the super sampling was on several games.
And it came back up after, a couple days after the whole Bloomberg thing, where it's like someone's like, like they had 2 patents they filed on March 25th, 2020. It's like, of course they did. Of course they're thinking about the future. Of course there's something out there. Why wouldn't there be? We're coming up on 5 years on this system. They absolutely are thinking. They're thinking about something. It's not nothing. They're not doing nothing. Like, they're never not doing nothing. So, anyways, silliness aside, kind of wanted to real quickly. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this. End of an era. We're recording. Smash is finally coming to an end.
Quit playing. Except the melee players who will finally move up to this Smash because it's dead. And then they will only play this Smash at tournaments.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, hey, if it wasn't for DMCA, this would be a great point to, interject Frank Sinatra as I did it my way, and put that song in here. And Soccer, I did it his way.
I'll get in the shower and I'll sing it.
Oh, okay.
And it'll just be my shitty voice.
Nice. So... Obviously, you don't play the game in any sort of competitive sense. Neither do I.
Not really, no.
At the end of it all...
There's no game I'm competitive in anymore.
Yeah, at the end of it all, and seeing them... We don't know the last character because we're recording it like literally days before its announcement reveal. Is there anything you sort of wish happened with all... The only thing as far as like the gameplay, I wish they used rollback netcode. I wish online was not a piece of shit. Sure,
they're never gonna do that.
Never gonna do that.
We'll get that fast.
But is there anything you sort of like? God, I kind of wish they had put this character. I know you're gonna say Blasto.
The thing is, it hadn't occurred to me to say Blasto, but now I'm like, actually, though, it would be kind of a dumb fun. But you're not gonna get Phil Hartman to voice it. I guess you could use clips.
It's gonna be very hard to do since he's been dead for a while.
Yeah. No, you know what? I don't need Blasto in it. I need a Blasto-type skin for Captain Falcon.
There you go. Like a maybe.
Phil Hartman. Falcon Punch.
What about a? Would you be okay with like a Mii Brawler or a Mii Gunner outfit? I guess a Mii Gunner would make more sense.
I guess.
For Blasto.
Actually, like, how many Final Fantasy VII characters did they put in?
2 in the game, and then there's a couple of Mii costumes.
Yeah, because they have like a Barrett Mii costume, right?
Yeah, Barrett. I think Barrett, Tifa, Aerith. I think so. 3, I think.
Yeah.
And a Chocobo hat. And Gino's a Mii costume because fuck making him a real boy.
Well, I guess now's the time. Yeah, no, I don't know if there's any character that I really need in Smash because there's so many. I'm sort of shocked that they're actually going to do it, that they're actually going to pull the plug because it's just a gravy train.
Why? 25 million and counting, and like
how many people and they're going to buy every character.
Sure. And they've been saying like we've been doing it for 3 years at this point. It's longer than most Nintendo.
Sunrise is just like I'm just fucked tired. I just want a break.
I just want a break, and honestly, I think that would be fine too. Like they could literally take like a 6 months break and then just come back to it, and then like a year later, be like, all right, we're ready to put out a new character.
Yeah, we need money again.
It is weird that you have games these. Because Nintendo loves evergreen titles, but they don't love evergreen work. Which I can kind of respect because like I'm not really super hot on live services either. But part of me is also like, yeah, but why would you stop?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of nice that Nintendo doesn't like it. But they must fight with their investors, right? They must be like, we're not doing that, and all the investors are like, fucking why?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Their investors are fucking weird, man. The only thing I've said is like the only neat little bow on top of this whole package to me would be like it'd be kind of nice if there was like any Sony rep at all. Kratos, I think Aloy would be the front runner. Ratchet and Clank.
Kratos and Aloy would be cool. Aloy would be a lot of fun. Kratos would be OP as fuck in that game.
Yeah, well,
just using an axe and tossing that shit around.
Just in general, just like having a Sony rep. And a lot of people are like, well, what about Crash? And it's like, Crash is owned by Activision. It doesn't really count. I don't feel it's the same.
Do you think Sony is like they aren't allowing it for arrogance reasons, or do you think it's Nintendo's like? Is it because Sony's mad that Nintendo and Xbox have gotten a little bit buddy-buddy, or do you think it's
there's definitely the potential there where they're just kind of like,
because they get pissy.
I don't want to be like sharing a bed with Banjo and Steve.
How dare
Minecraft? like part of it could just be like
Central
petty
California,
stupidness.
I'm not.
I'm curious if Sakurai ever just extended an olive branch to someone at Sony in Japan and just been like, hey,
I'll suck your dick.
I don't think he said that. Like it's
Probably
probably the
not.
other way around. Like, hey, you know,
I'll let you suck my
yeah,
dick.
you want to put a Sony character in Smash? Well, why would I want to put a Sony character in Smash? Because I got a really big roster.
Yeah, really big roster.
I'll give you $20.
No, my dick is actually really big. It's just that my roster's so big that it makes it look small. For anybody who's wondering, a old friend of ours who I will not name, because
that
they
argument.
don't need that
I remember. I just remember like when they made that argument. I was just kind of like, oh my god.
I know I've said this story, but I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or if I was during a live show. But if, you know, like when you're a teenage dude, and some of you aren't going to know. Yeah, some of you aren't going to know this, but you get into weird dick measuring arguments. Sometimes literally about the size of your dick. And this one particular friend just like cut in and said so matter-of-factly, so genuinely, that it stopped all conversation. She's like, yeah, I actually have a pretty big dick, but my balls are so big that it makes my dick look small. And he meant it. He wasn't just like fucking with people. It wasn't just like a funny thing to say. I use it as a funny thing to say now.
What they could have used.
Yeah, it's got to be like your bush is just so thick you think.
Yeah.
You think your balls are
He
huge.
needed a lot of crop preserve.
But your balls are like this, but your bush is making them look like this. Oh, God. Like, you look down and all you see is the tip because you got like 8 inches of bush.
So since we're on Bush or no Bush, I think it's time. Well, since we're on Bush, we should talk about Bush or no Bush. Marvel vs. Cap free MVC2 edition. Max would be so proud of me.
Yeah, would he? We're family friendly,
So we're gonna bounce between, you know, well, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's gonna be their roster. So there's only male and female characters. There's no gender fluid or non-binary characters in the game. You guess you could argue a Mingo maybe, but like,
and Rogue bounces around, right?
no, I don't think so. Anyways,
I can't remember.
but we're gonna bounce between, you know, a girl and a guy for each one. If there was any other representation in the game, I definitely pointed out. I guess Blackheart's fucking weird. I don't know. What is Shuma? I guess there were some. I don't know, but that's a squid, and squid doesn't even have any bush at all, so it answers itself.
That we know of, you know.
So we're gonna stick to mostly the Marvel side because
it's easier.
And
we've done a lot of
we done a lot of Capcom characters. We've done Street Fighter and stuff like that. So first off, let's talk about Rogue.
Love me some Rogue.
Bush
Definitely
or no bush?
Full white bush.
Full white bush.
Yeah.
Not like a streak.
No.
She has like a bush with a singular silver like landing
It's surprising.
strip.
She's my favorite. She got full white bush.
I don't think
so.
so.
We're gonna say it's manicured though. We're not gonna say like, you know, you got like taint hair. And
Part of me is kind of like, okay, yeah, she got that, you know, that Southern Belle thing going on. She, you know, part of me does think she got a little bit of the Everglades going on. But I'm gonna say this. I think she's landing strip with a single silver streak going right down the middle of that landing
90s
strip.
porn stars. What you're saying?
Yes.
90s porn stars.
Well, like, but with, you know, the added pizzazz.
Early 2000s porn star. 90s porn stars probably had like full bush.
Yeah,
the 80s was still, it was
hanging
on.
You know, there's a funny story. Did I ever tell you about? Okay, there's that big Hustler like flagship store in Vegas.
Yes,
and
we have talked about this extensively.
Yeah, did I ever mention like the time where I was in there and they had these giant coffee table hardcover books, big ones that are meant for coffee tables, and there's the big Book of Dick. Which you turn the page. The first page is a big picture of Long Dong Johnson.
Nice. Here's the thing.
Which that didn't even look real.
Nudity as art is like, oh yeah, it's classy. Have some nudes on your coffee table. But if you had like a Hustler mag on your coffee table, basically not Hustler. Hustler is like
kind of like you can see up to her kidneys.
Yeah. But like if you had like a Playboy on your table, it'd be like, that's a weird thing to have. But if you had like the same thing, but it was titled like, I don't know, Nudes Through the Ages or something,
yeah,
people would be like, how cultured.
Well, anyways, I think there was a big book of ass. I can't remember, or I think it was breasts. Big book of breasts, and then there was a big book of pussy. And I remember like reaching my hand up, and the lady, the cashier lady, which I don't know how they got away with this, but like all the women who worked there were like super gorgeous. And like I'm reaching up to like
Vegas.
Vegas. I'm like reaching up to grab this book, and she goes, I'd be careful with that one. I'm like, what's that? And she's like, they're mostly 70s shots. And she's like, it's a lot of bush.
Does bush bother you?
A lot of bush. It was interesting because I didn't even say anything. Like she was watching me, like from behind, and then I reached up, like, oh man, she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna warn you right now, that book is a lot of 70s photos. It's a lot of bush. And I opened it up and I kind of skimmed through it. I'm like, holy God, yeah. I'm like, why even call it the Big Book of Pussy? You can't even see pussy. It was like worse than Japanese mosaic censorship. It was so bad. I was like, I don't know how our parents conceived us. Anyways.
a lot of faith.
Whole lot of faith in poking around.
Like a sheet with a hole in it.
But anyway, so Rogue, I'm going landing strip. You're going like manicured but wild.
Yeah, like her hair.
Yeah, I think straight up landing strip. Cause she got that tight ass, like those tight ass pants on. Especially if you've seen the '90s cartoon. Hey,
90s cartoon. I swear to God, was my sexual awakening. Like,
well, we'll get to mine because my sexual awakening is absolutely on here as well.
Colossus, yeah, I know.
Yeah. So to flip the script, Gambit.
Oh yeah, no. Also, my sexual awakening. God,
Many people's sexual awakening.
I thought about it long and hard. I was like, am I bi? Because Gambit is just like, ooh. But masculinity, I'm not
So
sure.
what do you think? What do you think of Gambit? He does also wear tight pants.
You know what? I think he's shaved. I think he's full on. Even the gooch.
And I'm going to the opposite. I think
he's got razor burn in that gooch.
I think he wouldn't if he used a
yeah, but this is
lawnmower 4.0.
We're going by the 90s series, okay?
Okay. Well, the game came out in like 2000. 2001, 2000.
Oh yeah, we're doing the free. Sorry, I was
free MVC2, which is based on the '90s artwork. It's very heavily inspired by the early mid '90s.
It looks so fucking cool.
Right. I say he's got the fucking Everglades down there. Like he's Cajun. He's got a bushy crawfish.
Yeah. Okay. I
know I kind of like Rogue's kind of got the same deal going on a little bit with, her geographic, origins, but like...
Nah, he's too together. He's got it all. He's too slick. He is 100% like... There's
like he's got that headband on and his hair just like... That's what it looks like.
Yeah, but he also wears a headband for the sweat.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps it out of his face. I think he's got
kinetic pubes. It looks like, it looks like a lightning storm.
He's just got like an ace tag, with just like a V, and the sweat trickles down past his completely shaved.
So you're going all shades on Gambit.
Yeah,
I say
no hair below that.
I say he's a raging Cajun.
All right, I'll allow it, but I think you're wrong. I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
We're gonna agree to disagree on that. Let us know what you guys think.
That guy's got the V cut.
What do you think between Gambit?
No hair.
Bush
I got a little bit of brown sugar on mine, but.
All right, so speaking of sexual awakening, I doubt we're going to have any debate on this. Speaking of sexual awakening, Psylocke.
The thing is...
Waxed.
Yeah, I mean, just like a Barbie.
She don't run around in that leotard for,
it just don't work out,
It just don't work out, you're not seeing any of, like, the tendrils peek around. No.
I have
waxed.
Like, ever since Olivia Munn played her, like, I can't picture the original
I keep
Psylocke.
forgetting that.
Yeah, I know. It was such a, like, they threw away that character, a cool character.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's awesome, but like, ever since she played, like, I can only picture her version, and I'm trying to picture the version in the game, but it's pretty much the same suit, right? Like
more or less.
Like a leotard.
It probably doesn't ride as high or cut as close. Because like 90s era Japanese game design, when they're wearing a leotard, it's like it's full ass exposure, and like the only reason it doesn't have a camel toe is because someone would have actually complained even back then.
I sort of believe in my heart of hearts that if anyone was ballsy enough to go for it, like Olivia Munn could rock it. I don't think she would. I'm just saying that I think she probably could have. 90s one, definitely it's got to be waxed, because if it's riding up that high, You
Oh,
just
yeah.
can't. The ass crack hair.
It's like Cammy. It's like exactly like Cammy, pretty much.
Jesus.
It's waxed.
Forgot that. Yeah, has to be. I think.
Not
I
even
think
shaved, waxed.
I think that's probably the one that we're going to agree the most on.
Okay, well, what about our future tech boy Cable?
Oh, Cable's full bush, dude.
I think he's full bush, and I
he's
think
old
some of it's
school.
bionic.
I don't even think some of it's bionic. I think he has like that. I think he gets beard hair that goes down his neck and stays connected all the way to his asshole. Like it's one
Like all the way
yeah,
zipping
it's just
around.
one flowing mane of hair, and he just happens to trim.
Well,
He trims the neck hair, but it's just
the Cable in MVC2 doesn't have a beard. He does have a beard at times in the comic.
well, he gets rid of here because he's military.
Yeah.
But like once the under the collar, it's still that continuous line.
Well,
of
and he
hair.
has that disease where like the machine is taking over his body. Like he's got like that biovirus or the machine virus.
Yeah.
Right, and so I'm his arm goes like it all grows out in one of his win poses, and I'm saying like he's full bush, and half of his bush is like twinkly lights,
Ethernet cable.
Ethernet cable. It looks like it looks like one of those little tiny Christmas trees on display, and in the
man.
home decor section.
Oh man.
It looks like something out of the Matrix down there.
It's his arm and one of his legs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
so I guess that's
overtaking
possible.
half his body. And he's like fighting to like stave it off, but
Yeah, pooping's got to be weird for him.
he like shits a lug nut. So we're both kind of in, he ain't got any time for any of that.
He's too busy fighting.
Yeah, and he probably has to take wire cutters if he did, so it's probably just not worth it.
You know that he's the type of guy that uses those old uncomfortable. You remember in like the 40s they had the clippers that you squeezed and like the blades. He's that kind of guy because he has to cut the cables.
Hey, cut the cable to get it. Storm.
Clever sometimes. Oh, Storm. See, Storm is who I would go landing strip with.
I say full wild bush
Full
on
wild
Storm.
bush on Storm.
She does wear that fucking latex suit in the
Hard to
game.
pull that off without some sticking out the sides.
Well, she doesn't have anything. Well, like
You
it's
ever
like
worn a
it's full.
Speedo?
No.
First time I started trimming my gooch was because wore a Speedo for swim practice.
I mean, she's covered, ankle to neck in the game with her suit.
I want you to picture, if you will, just a taut piece of fabric.
Ha.
Yeah, there's the lump of balls and smashed dick, and it's never comfortable. But then under that, there's the taut fabric, and on the sides of it, ringlets of gooch hair. You got that in your head?
Ringlets.
Yeah, well, they get wet.
So
Your
you're
hair
saying,
doesn't curl when it gets wet?
All
All right, we're learning some shit about me. That's fine.
does my hair curl when it gets? No.
Like my chest hair and, my ball hair curls up when I
Not anymore.
get wet. Well, yeah, not now. Now I am waxed.
So you're
No,
going landing strip for Storm, and I'm saying full wild.
I'm just saying in that suit, you can't not.
Well, that's true, which makes it interesting that I picked three of these people I'd say are full wild. Now, I'm a little torn on the last one, Colossus.
Steel wool. Every bit of him turns to metal. It's steel wool.
Steel wool.
It is
So
a Scotch Brite.
So like he could like shave while steel, and he has like a steel wool brush.
Yeah, that's how he cleans the plane, which I'm blanking on the name.
Oh, the
He just slides over the X2. Just fucking gets any rust off that shit quick.
oh god. Now he's a very slick, smooth looking dude for the most part,
Yeah.
but like
But that one spot,
trimmed. I'm gonna say
no, he's got ass hair.
Colossus.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's full. Just it starts at the belly button and goes right around. It looks like God's underwear,
God.
and it's all metal.
He's Russian, so he's definitely rocking some thermal protection there. So
It gets cold. Man.
it gets cold in Russia, and metal gets really cold to the touch. So
Yeah, you gotta keep it. You know, fun fact, isn't steel wool is like a survival thing? You can light it on fire fairly easily.
I have no idea. I'd hope not in his case.
Yeah, that's dangerous. He's hanging out with some dangerous people in that case.
So yeah, I mean, I think he's at least a little bit trimmed just because he runs around in basically like a wrestler suit / Speedo, what have you.
Yeah, I mean,
but like again, he is Russian, and he probably does have to like keep warm. I don't know. Like I say he's trimmed.
We have a couple of Russian listeners. Weigh in on this.
Yeah, weigh in on this.
You guys get hairy? I don't know that for sure. I'm German and Irish. We're basically made of fur. A lot of people are like, wow, you're kind of muscular. And I'm like, no, it's all fur. I'm warm all the time. It's like the two things I can do is grow hair, except on the top of my head, and suffer. And those are the two things that I am capable of. But maybe, Russians, they stick kind of hairless.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like, what is like when you picture like a lot of American stuff, it's like Russian villain, but Dolph Lundgren's not fucking Russian. He's Swedish.
Yeah.
And Swedish are, not hairy people.
It could be, I think.
I guess.
You got that Viking DNA.
That's true. And I mean, everybody in Minnesota, they gotta, bundle up a little bit for the winter.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of Viking.
All I'm saying is, I think trimmed, but I think people be like tempted to just say waxed because of just how his smooth nature is. But like, I'm just like,
Nah, steel wool bush.
Steel wool bush.
Yeah. And if his dick didn't turn to metal, it's all scar tissue down there. You don't have to worry about getting pregnant from that guy. He's just a lump of fucking. It's Weinstein stuff. It's just that weird rotting.
Oh, lovely.
And that segment was brought to you by Manscaped. Use our code YoVG for 20% off and worldwide free shipping.
There you go. Code
Your balls
YoVG.
will thank you.
Your balls will thank you. So to wrap up, last thing I want to do, like something you pointed out would be like a fun segment called Dumb Arguments.
Yeah, dumb argument. I've got one too.
Oh, really? Okay. So my dumb arguments kind of come up because it's come up again. Bayo 3 got re-announced and is brought up a lot of the discussion because, like, we saw the trailer and I'm like, YouTube bitrate compression, live streaming bitrate compression doesn't do any favors. Yeah. But even if that
Switch, it's not going to look amazing.
Even if it wasn't for all that compression, it still doesn't look anything amazing. It just doesn't. And I wouldn't say it looks worse than the other games, but I would say the color scheme does seem very bland and muted from the footage we saw. Like, I wish the color scheme was a little more popping, like, too. But
it's all supposed to be apocalyptic, it looks like.
That,
of some sort.
You sure? But that all being said,
why does apocalyptic always mean brown?
Because earth tones, I guess.
I love earth tones.
Browns and beige. The dumb argument that's sort of resurfaced is like, well, I wish this wasn't locked on Nintendo hardware. I wish it wasn't locked on Nintendo's, consoles and stuff. But here's the thing. Going back to it, it doesn't exist outside of town. Yeah. Like, it's a stupid complaint because the game literally doesn't exist without Nintendo. Nintendo is the only one who wanted to front the money for it. All the way back in part 2, Sega canceled it and said they didn't want to spend the money on it. Nintendo's one who came in and said they wanted to. So, do you wish? Well, don't you wish it could be 4K? Of course, but it's a stupid thing to complain about since it doesn't exist otherwise. It's only because of Nintendo's generosity that it exists in the first place. Because the genre itself does not do gangbuster numbers. The best-selling game is, I think, Devil May Cry 5, and it's 4.5 million, which is a far cry from Monster Hunter World. It's a far cry from Resident Evils, and that's just on the Capcom side. Yeah. It's nowhere close. Like, every single year, a Madden game comes out and sells more copies than any character action game has ever sold in its life.
Madden. Shaka bro.
It's Madden, and FIFA does the same thing, and then you think about the hundreds of millions of players that have bought in GTA 5, which makes Devil May Cry 5's like 4.5 look like fucking pittance. Like,
yeah,
this is a genre that is supported by its cult-like fans. I'm one of them, but like, I appreciate the fact that it exists, and the thing is that it existing in the first place, even on weak hardware, just means that they can remaster it in the
Eventually,
future. Whereas if it wasn't for Nintendo funding it on their weak-ass hardware, and it is weak-ass hardware, then we would never have a Bayonetta 2 or 3 to remaster and make run better in the future. It just wouldn't fucking exist. So it's a dumb argument. And then, like, it's a silly complaint to me. Like, just... every single game would look better on PC. And then every single game that is on PC could look better if it didn't have a console version that it had to downscale to. Every single video game you've ever played could have been done better. If it came out 2 years later, it would have been better. And then there's a bunch of PC games now that you can't play because just the amount of time that's passed and the amount of different hardware that's come out. Now shit is unplayable. There's been a lot of work done on the homebrew and emulation scene to get a lot of those early 90s and earlier PC games to operate on modern day hardware because they don't natively.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about PC is that you can play most games. You can go back if it ever ran on a PC. It'll probably run on yours. It'll look like shit.
Yeah, but then there's a lot that don't, just because too much time has passed and too many things have changed.
We're also talking about, like, you can play a 15 or 16-year-old game that came out on PC. You can play it today. You can't do that for something 30 years old. But why are you?
And I don't have a problem with, like, the having a nostalgia boner or retro.
No, sure, but if your complaint is that, like, oh, I don't know if I want to upgrade my PC because it won't be able to play, I don't know, Leisure Suit Larry from '95. It's like you're dusting out your shit and you're like, come on, kids, I'm gonna show you Leisure Suit Larry. Why won't it run on my $5,000 rig? What the fuck?
Exactly.
Like,
well,
obviously,
it's just
things age out. I'm sort of. It's not that I'm shitting on retro. I'm just like I'm shitting on the idea that things don't age out.
Yeah,
it's okay that you can't play those old games. You can dig out that old shit if you want to play the old game, or there's emulators, or there's other ways to play it. But like, it's why I argue that backwards compatibility shouldn't be the most important thing in a system.
Yeah,
and people get so mad. Like, I've had people be like, it's privilege that you don't care about backwards compatibility. And I'm like, I guess, but if we're even having the discussion of, like, are you going to buy this brand new system for $500? You're fucking privileged too. Like, no one who is debating about the specs of a new console and, they're going to buy it, but they're not going to be happy about it because it doesn't have backwards compatibility is a person who isn't at least somewhat privileged.
Well, so, I think we've reached the point now where console gaming, the way it's designed and developed now, and now it's like a foregone conclusion. Of course it's going to be backwards compatible because we got a lot smarter about how we make this shit. So now doesn't even need to be a discussion. It just should. I don't
even know if it's that we got a lot smarter. We got a lot more commercial. It's more mass produced. It's using parts that are more mass produced.
Yeah.
It's using more.
Well, that's the thing is like back PS3 and before, every company, especially in Japan, they'd go and
from scratch.
Yeah, they do this big proprietary thing that they build either internally or very very tight knitly with these other manufacturers, and it's like it only ever works for that one thing that only ever sells for 5 years and then it's gone, kind of thing. So yes, I mean, but yeah, like as far as something like Bayo 3 or other games, it's like I want these games to exist because if they can exist first, they can be remastered later. But if they don't exist first, then they don't exist. Then it doesn't happen. And some people are like, well, I'd rather not have it at all. Then, well, to me, that is like the weirdest, dumbest thing is to like wish something didn't exist at all if it wasn't going to be at the highest quality as possible standard, for the technology at the time. And man, that's a really weird, and I'd honestly say like kind of like a dumb mentality to have, because it's like
I have to believe that is a very vocal minority and not.
Yeah,
I doubt it's the thing that sort of, and I think anybody that's ever been online, but especially on Twitter, like the vocal minority seems to fucking rule. I think most people just want to like, I don't know, bust one out and get some fucking sleep. Nobody's really like that worked up over Bayonetta not being at the top of the line specs, except for, frankly, a very small minority of people who just die over whether or not Bayonetta is over anything. Like they literally just get so worked up about any game not being the highest specs.
Yeah, or people are like, I can't go back to this after having you know, a PS5 and playing DMC5 Special, so I can't go back to something like that. I'm like, wow, you must not be able to go back to a lot of shit then.
Yeah.
Like the last 30 years of video gaming must be fucking dead to you.
Yeah.
if you can't go back to, you know, to less than 120 frames or less than 60 frames.
The first year I was streaming, I was playing basically all the games that I had missed.
Yeah.
In the last few years. And one person who, I mean, never came back to my stream, but was just like, why are you playing all these super old games? I was like, this is 3 years old. This is a 3-year-old game, dude.
3 years old.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had someone the other day. It was just kind of like, you know, anything below 60 makes me ill to play. And I'm like, well, a whole lot of video gaming is out of your fucking realm of playability. Like, shut up. Like, come on.
The majority of people can't fucking tell. It's like the majority of people can't tell.
Well, just the hyperbole of like, you know, I get physically ill with these sub 60 frame rates. Like, oh, come on.
I watch all of my porn in 60.
Yeah, so like, so everything made between 1995 and 2020 is basically like, you know, fucking crapshoot at that point. Like,
I've never liked any game that was at 30. I've never liked any N64
like
games.
I you know me, I preach the gospel of 60 frames, you know, all over the place, but
it's nice. I don't think it's all that important.
Not every game needs it, first of all, and second of all, it's just kind of like, yeah, I remember when games struggled to hit 30 on the N64. So, you know,
yeah.
Hitting a smooth if it can be consistent on anything, great.
I mean, N64 commonly got 20 frames a second.
Yeah.
It was not, I mean, and even in the big ass games, like I can remember Mario 64 getting 25 frames a second.
Yeah. I think Ocarina of Time ran like almost consistent 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty consistent for the most part, but like it never hit 30 pretty much.
And that's why it looked epic. Everything was slow motion. My dumb argument to end things out is the God of War 4 being the best God of War of all time. It's the best video game of all time.
Oh, what was that IGN that had some sort of like poll or something?
The best video game of all time. Number one, anybody worked up about that, it's already the dumbest shit ever. It is meant to work you up so you'll click on that article. Because, like, how many options do they have?
Yeah, you're being played.
Yeah, it's like...
well, it was like tournament bracket style, where it's like these two games, and then of this,
still can't.
And then that goes on to the next one.
Was RE4 on there?
I think so, yeah.
And God of War 4 beat it out?
I suppose so.
I don't give a shit. It's like, RE4 clearly beats it, and that's how I feel, and so I don't have to worry about it. I'm not worked up. It's a dumb argument. Anybody that, like, gets super... And we know people. We know people. No, I'm not going to call them out. Who, like, it's the greatest game of all time, and if you don't agree, fuck you. We've met people that feel that way about Call of Duty 4. I can't remember that guy's name, but also I think he ran off with somebody else's wife, so... He was already a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess, yeah, if you're into the greatest game of all time argument, you're a piece of shit.
And the IGN does this like every like 2 or 3 years. Like every time, like, you know, they need to get some fucking hit, you know, some traffic going. It's like they generate this because it gets people talking. And that's the craziest thing is like, you know,
Sony paid them.
What? Yeah, Sony paid them. What I consider the greatest game of all time is probably not shared by very many people at all. And then people are like, oh, I think this one's, you know...
Link's Awakening or Shining Force?
Right, like Link's Awakening. Like, oh, Link's Awakening. Well, I think Link Pass is better. Okay.
It's great.
Whatever. I don't care.
And that was the first time he murdered.
Like, I don't care. Like, I can certainly see why you would say something like that is X is better than Y. Like, you say RE4 is the best game of all time.
It is.
It's not really a hard argument to see. Like, it's easy to understand. Yeah. Sure, I could see that. Do I think it's the best game? No, but it's like someone says it is, cool, whatever. I don't care.
It's definitely the best Resident Evil, and that's going to piss people off. But
that's the
most fun to play.
That's quantifiable fact.
Yeah. And on that note, as always, if you want to reach out to us, let us know whether or not you're pissed about us being sponsored, or if you have a good crop preserver story.
Yeah.
Or you've used the trimmers and electrocuted you in the shower. See, I don't know. I don't think they're going to kill me in the shower. I just have like a little bit of a... I'm not sure in the shower. I don't. I know it's waterproof, but it's just like a little bit of me is like.
We have not tested that.
Do you want to get shocked in the nuts? That's the only thing I haven't tested on it. I'm gonna do it. And next episode I'll intro with I used it in the shower and I did not die, or maybe I'm dead. Man dies trimming balls in shower, and it's gonna be at a gym shower.
The wattage on that thing is only so much,
but it's my balls. If I lose a nut, I'm going out.
Oh, you only need one.
How do you know I have more than one left?
I don't, but I'm just saying.
I've been to war.
You only need one. That's why you keep an extra one on preserve, like me. You have 3.
I'm a monster, and I'm gonna do this at the gym shower.
Oh, so I'll just be walking by the shower stall, and you're like, oh shit!
It's not what you think. It's a vibrating butt plug.
Like, all right, please don't electrocute my nuts. Like someone hears that, like, what?
Don't do. No, I'll actually. You know what? If I get too scared, I'll do it at the gym. Still, I'll just have one leg up on the bench, and instead of using a towel to like dry my balls for 16 minutes straight like an old man, I'm gonna trim my nuts in front of everybody.
That is the weirdest part of the gym. Is it's always the old people
who don't give a fuck. You know what it is? Because once you get to a certain age, you're never actually naked anymore. Everything's drooping at an angle that like it's all hidden. Like your dick skin is drooping just enough that like tip's been gone for a while. Like you just dribble pee out. Your balls hang in a weird spot. It could just be a lump on your leg.
Yeah, your balls look like Droopy's mouth.
Yeah, I don't know if this happens to ladies. I don't. But your body betrays you as a man after a certain age. A certain age, you just turn more and more into a bubble, and then everything hangs. And I'm doing everything I can to fight that.
Everyone turns into Yoda in the end.
You know, eventually I'm not going to be able to wear short shorts proudly anymore because a testicle will be hanging out of that. It's probably going to be around 45. I've got a few years left.
Pop out.
You know, it just hangs out, you know? It's like you're playing tennis and then all of a sudden nuts out.
Hello!
You know? And on that note...
Looks like Danny DeVito being smuggled in your... Hello!
Fuck. If there was any celebrity who would be down to do a testicle joke, Danny DeVito. As always, we appreciate you checking out the show. Let us know in the YouTube comments if you like this new video version. We'll try and make it more interesting as we get on. It's just us 3, Benedict Cumberbatch, and these broken blinds that I now have to go own
really
up to.
Rocking that bachelor pad, you know,
vibe in here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to show you guys, but basically it's a bunch of it's just old stuff that my parents decided to store in my old room. Once you move out, eventually there comes a year where like none of your shit ever matters again.
We've
and
got
so
like
they just
a
keep
box of toys over there.
Where?
It's got like Legos and like anime bitches in it.
Oh yeah, those are all the anime bitches that used to be on the podcast table that people would send.
So, like, that's what should be around here.
Just a bunch of anime bitches.
Oh yeah, we should definitely. Yeah.
I just sort of don't like that I'm calling them anime bitches. They could be nice ladies.
The reason I say that, I was helping our friend who played Virgil in the Sesame. I was helping him move out one time. And I was, his room was like the last thing to move out. And his uncle was helping us too. And his uncle definitely looked like this guy who used to be like this cool biker guy in the past or something or whatever.
What's with all these anime bitches?
And well, I was helping him. And I'm like, okay. He's like, is there anything left in there? And I was like, well, like he's just got some of the figurines left, but he wants to like package them himself. I was like, oh, you mean his bitches? He's like, yeah, I just call him those his little bitches.
His little bitches.
Well, he didn't know what anime was. I was just like, oh, you mean those little bitches?
He didn't know what anime was. Was he not a man of culture?
No, this
probably doesn't even watch hentai either.
This guy definitely did not look
Square.
Like. Well, no, it's just like, and I was trying not to like bust up laughing. It's just like
it's anime bitches. But yeah, this is where all the old, like I have a bunch of old books and bullshit. Like the first PC I ever built is tucked into a corner over there. We'll get it proper because this is the only place we can meet to record in person now. Can't do it at my place. Doug's all up on my shit.
Up on your nuts.
He is, literally. If we're talking, he'll come sit between us and bark at us. Being a part of it. Just wants to talk video games for a little bit. I love my dog. He makes me so angry. On that note, have a good one. Shine on, and we'll catch you next time, dudes.
Later, dudes.